How's it going, everyone? This is Midnight Strike 3625, and I am back again to continue on the Grand Theft Auto series review with my review of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, I've got my PlayStation 2 copy right here, and this is by far the biggest, most vast, most filled up Grand Theft Auto game up until this point. And it would be until Grand Theft Auto 5 was released almost a decade later. And I say that because of Grand Theft Auto 4's recent confinement in a city, in Liberty City, where you really don't have a lot to do, but I will get to that in my GTA 4 review, which will probably come in a couple months. So, to start things off, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, for the longest time, was my go-to Grand Theft Auto game. It still is, for a number of reasons, which I will get into. To name off every single way that this game improved upon with its predecessors would be a waste of time, because I could pretty much fill up a 15-minute long video on just listing all of those things. Instead, I'm going to give you guys a look into how this game improved and what they actually added for the game mechanics. Like I said, in Vice City, they added a lot of little tweaks and small minor improvements that enhanced the gameplay to the point where it didn't really feel as dated anymore. But this game, right here, takes that to a whole new level. It was released 11 years ago, actually a decade ago on the Xbox, but this game, to me, is the first implementation of a modern game, a modern sandbox-style shooter. And I say that because it's the first game where you can manually aim, it's the first game where you can actually instill RPG elements into it, and it's really the first game that has a modern selection, or a modern selection ability for your clothes, for your guns, for purchasable items basically, and for consumables. You can even get consumables in here. And not only does it replenish health like it did in Vice City, but it also has the added side effect of affecting your weight, of affecting your endurance. CJ Carl Johnson is the most customizable character to this day. Even Michael, Franklin, and Trevor don't even hold a candle. I mean, of course you can customize their face, their hair, their clothes, but you can't customize things such as their skills or their weight. I mean, to a minor extent you can customize their skills, but you get my point. Carl Johnson is also, in my opinion, the first relatable protagonist in the series. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tommy is a badass. I already talked about how I didn't really like his personality, though. And Claude is, well, he's just Claude. He's a silent protagonist that just kind of does things for his own reasons without really going into it because, well, he's silent. Carl Johnson actually has morals. He has values. He doesn't like drugs, which, you know, I don't really like drugs either. But, like I said, not a political channel. But he is the first one that actually has a sense of morality. You're actually doing these missions to get your brother out of prison, which his brother Sweet gets wrongfully imprisoned for something he got caught up in. And the mastermind villain behind everything is a police officer named Frank Tenpenny. And of course, his buddy officer Pulaski, which you will get to kill way before Tenpenny. Tenpenny comes at the last mission, which is a whopping two-parter called End of the Line. And let me tell you, it does a very good job of exploring its open world. The story basically takes you in between three different islands known as Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas. And of course, there's some areas in between there as well. San Fierro is the city in the region of San Fierro, but there's also little places such as Angel Pine, Whetstone, Tierra Robada in Las Venturas, and it basically expanded from a city in Vice City and Liberty City stories, or 3, I should say, and Liberty City stories. It expanded from a city to a whole open world. And in my opinion, this is something that has not been replicated since. I mean, even in GTA 5, you know, you got your vast open world with your countrysides and your mountains, but really, when it all comes down to it, it's just a huge city, a countryside, and maybe a town with a few mountains here and there. But in GTA San Andreas, you get whole towns that you can travel to. You got a vast highway system. It's the first game with highways, and it's just a lot of fun. I can't really recommend this game enough right here. If if you are getting into the Grand Theft Auto series and don't know which game to start with, like I said in my Vice City review, I would either start with this game, San Andreas, right here, work your way forward and then backwards, or Vice City and just work your way forwards, and then go back to 3 and see how you like it. So, with this game, there's a lot of stuff to it. It's over 2 times as long as GTA 3 and Vice City, which is why it took me so long to beat. Honestly, I like to play it, when I was actually reviewing it, I like to play it like this, where I actually, when I first started playing it actually, I would just fly everywhere and use cheat codes, which is another thing. Cheats have always been a mainstay in the Grand Theft Auto series, but never to this extent before. There's pages of cheats for this game. And I would actually go out on a limb to say that this game has the most cheats out of any video game pretty much ever in existence right now. Because, really, cheats are kind of fallen beneath the wayside in favor of microtransactions and DLC, which is very unfortunate. But cheats are still around for those series such as Grand Theft Auto, I believe Saints Row has some, and a few others. But San Andreas just has pages of fun cheats to explore, and fun glitches, and just a bunch of helpful hints on missions. There are multiple ways to complete missions. It's not just drive after a target, kill this person, do this that way. There are multiple ways to go about it. And GTA San Andreas' open world definitely helps with that, because there's tons of little nooks and crannies to explore, to find pathways to either catch up to the person you're trying to kill, or complete the mission in a non-linear fashion. And that's especially notable on missions like Wrong Side of the Tracks, End of the Line. There's a couple little hints as well. The one where you meet OG Loke, there's an easier way to chase down Freddy, and just a bunch of different things. And the fun doesn't stop there. They add a bunch of new weapons. It carries over Vice City's previous weapon packs, basically, where you have 3 different tiers of weapons. I myself personally prefer the second tier for pretty much every single Grand Theft Auto game, but I did, in fact, experiment with all 3 of them, of course, but I do prefer the second one. But this game actually goes above and beyond that by including weapons that can't be basically cheated for in any of the tiers, such as the minigun. The minigun is hell of a lot of fun to play around with. I mean, you can destroy waves of enemy gangs in seconds. So, another thing that I wanted to touch base on is another element of the game where instead of focusing on high-end mafia crimes, they're focusing more on the gangster kind of street crimes. And Rockstar definitely pulled this off very well, because when you think of Grand Theft Auto, you think of a street crime. You think of a gang, of gangsters in the ghetto, and they definitely improved on that atmosphere, on that aspect. Oh, my voice is giving out. But in general, I would say that this game is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. I enjoyed every second of it. There are a couple missions that are very hard and have a steep learning curve. Supply lines, cough, basically. But you don't have to do those in order to progress throughout the game. There are a couple that are required but are still very, very difficult. But that's the fun of the game. It's a tough learning curve, but you just got to figure out different strategies and different ways of going about that mission. So, that is pretty much all I have to say. I would rate this game a 10 out of 10. Absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite games for the PlayStation 2, and as it's coming out on the PS4, which I have right over here, I don't know if you guys can see it. Well, right here. I don't know if I'm going to get it. It has trophies, but I don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't know if it's worth it, basically, for 15 bucks a pop. I mean, I don't know. But this game is an absolute must-have for anyone who wants to explore open-world gaming in its early days, in its infancy, basically, or at least when it started to modernize itself and get up there with how it is today. I mean, this game was released almost, well, actually, it was 11 years ago, and it's held up there pretty much with the likes of Just Cause and other games like that, and Saints Row, and it's just a blast. So, 10 out of 10, this is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.